So how's your practicing been going? You get into it every day or so? You don't have to worry or feel guilty if you don't play every single day, but if you're playing 3 or 4 times a week at least, you're going to be getting better. Try to schedule some time, and of course the best thing you can do is to play every single day, and maybe even a couple of times a day. Because you only have to play 5, 10, or 15 minutes max right now, look for places in your schedule where you can slip those in without really devoting a chunk of time to it. If you think you're going to have to play for a half hour, it's harder to find that time, to block out that much time of your day. But if you know you're only going to play 5 or 10 minutes, find times every day where you can put that in. It's not too hard to do that right after lunch or right before you go shopping or something like that. And usually if you sit down, if you give yourself 5 or 10 minutes, that time will expand into a longer period as you enjoy yourself. Run through everything you know. Maybe start with holding your ukulele properly. You want to get it up at a nice 45 or even 50-degree angle. I use a strap so that I don't have to hold it with my arms. To keep it up when you have a strap, the weight of your arm right on this little bowl is what holds it up. Also, don't drag it way back toward your left shoulder. Let it swing out from your shoulder a little bit to give this arm some freedom in front. You can allow your thumb over the top, you can allow your finger to hold the fretboard, but those aren't your permanent and ideal positions. Ideally, your hand is loose under the ukulele and your fingers are in front with your thumb down somewhat. Even with your thumb up, you still want room under the fingers. So review your notes. G, C, E, and A, good children eat apples. Once you've played those strings and they're memorized well, you can go back and forth. A, E, C, and G, E, C, A, G, any order. Then put in your scale notes for the key of C. You got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. You're noticing that E's and F's don't have a space between them, nor do B's and C's. That's not random and that's not a fluke. That's how music is designed. There's a whole step between all the notes except E's and F's and B's and C's. That's what creates the sound of a major scale. Going a whole step from C to D, a whole step from D to E, a half step to the 4th note D, F, whole step to G, whole step from G to A, whole step from A to B, and a half step from that 7th note back to the root, the C. That's what gives you your do, re, mi sound. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half. When we recreate a new scale in a new key, we take that pattern. You don't use these notes necessarily. You're going to have to use sharps and flats in every other key, but you use the pattern. Whole step, half, whole step, half. That defines your major scale. Right now, just memorize that E's and F's are close together, and so are B's and C's. We've learned a bunch of chords already. Go through them in the order you've learned them. Practice them every day. C's, C7s, F's, to G7s, back to C, C7, F. Maybe you want to go to the A minor now by removing your pointer. Put it back on and you have F. Add the ring finger on the 3rd string and you have your D minor. Remove it for your F again. Twist back into G7 and you're back to C. Other than the C7, which leans me out of that key a little bit, those are all in the key of C. C's, F's, G7s, even G majors, D minors, A minors are all in the key of C. Once we got to G7, we had to learn how to turn that triangle around and learn the G chord, G7s and Gs. You can see I've got a fairly wholesale change there, but that would be something to practice. Compare G7s, triangles pointing toward the head of the ukulele, to Gs, triangles pointing back the other way. This bass, this B note and the D note, the 2nd frets of the 1st and 3rd strings, are the same in both chords. There they are there, with the pointer over on F. There they are again, with the ring finger on G. I need different fingers to do them, but they're the same notes in the same location. We had our D minor. We also learned a 2-finger D7, open, 2nd fret, open, 2nd fret. Today we might as well fill that in so that we have open, 2nd, 2nd, 2nd for a D. D is a tight fit for people. Open, 2, 2, and 2. Work on your angles, the way you turn your hand. I don't want my fingers pointing straight up to the air. They won't get in. I want them pointing more down the ukulele to get in there. With such a small instrument, you may find that those 3 notes are better accomplished with 2 fingers. Maybe one of your fingers can cover 2 strings. You could even use a finger on these 2 strings and one back here. You can figure out how you want it best. I use 3 fingers because I'm a guitarist and that's how I learned it. You can also bunch them in backward. Ring finger, pointer, middle. That's actually a very nice version if you like it. Any way you do it, get all 3 notes there without impeding the open A. So there we're adding D to our list of chords. We learned A minor, a finger on the 4th string, A note, and we learned A7, a finger on the 3rd string, C sharp note. Go to my guitar videos, go to the playlist and look for primary chords to learn the chord relationships. Even though the chords are shaped differently on guitar, they're going to have the same names. I'm going to repeat that information here, but I don't want to go as in depth here when all that information can be found elsewhere. Nonetheless, we need to talk about it somewhat. Every time we learn a new song, I'll ask you what chords are in that song and how they're related, why those chords go together. They go together because they're usually going to be what's called the primary chords. In every key, meaning the tone center of whichever song we're in, there's going to be 3 primary chords. If I'm in the key of C, that means my melodies and my scales will focus around a C note. Then my first chord, chord number 1, is a C. We've talked about 1s and 5s. We said G7 was the 5 if you count from C. C, D, E, F, G. So the 5th chord is G, and often on the 5th chord we'll put a 7th note, so we'll call it a G dominant 7. The 4 chord is the other primary chord. In C, the 4 chord is F, C, D, E, F, and G. So those are your 3 major chords. That's why they go together well and why we've been practicing them that way. C, F, G, C. G7 is a good use of G to C. We don't talk about this immediately until we've got enough chords to start dealing with. If I were in the key of G, meaning G is my starting chord, G is my scale, and G is the tone center, then G, A, B, C, C is 4, and D is 5. We now have those chords. We can go G to C to your new D to G, G, C, D, G, or G, C, D7, G. So we can have D or D7. The real name of D7 is D dominant 7. That's because the 5 chord is the dominant chord in a key. You don't have to learn every name every time it's introduced. Just let the words start to flow over you, start to become familiar with the jargon. I may ask you for weeks, what are your primary chords, and you won't remember. After a while though, you'll have recognized you've heard that a lot, and it's 1, 4, and 5. What are the primary chords? They're the 1, 4, and 5. What do 1, 4, and 5 represent? The primary chords. Are those major or minor? Those are major chords. Primary chords are the 3 major chords in every key, and they're the 1, 4, and 5. That means if you start on the first chord, you call it 1 and you count alphabetically A, B, C, D. If I were in the key of A is 1, D is 4, A, B, C, D, E is 5. So I'd have A, D, and E chords. We now have a D chord. So if I start on D, I can count up D, E, F, G is 4, and A is 5, or A7 will work there. So in the key of D, we can go D, G, A, to D. I haven't shown you A yet, you have A7, so I'll use that. D, G, A7, back to D. D to A7. D to A7. D and A7 being a 1 and a 5, you can play all the songs we did that have 2 chords. Jambalaya, Deo, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, Down in the Valley. Any of those songs that we did C and G7 with, or C or F and C7 with, we can do with Ds and A7s. He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 D and A7. Technically you want to sing in tune, but I don't bother with that. So as you learn all your chords in order, also learn them as 1-4-5s. C, F, G7, C. G, C, D7, G. D, G, A7, D. If you're seeing a pattern here, my 5th chord became my new key when I practiced. That's because I already know this chord, which is now the 4. So I've got 2 chords I already know, and I have to learn this guy. Once I know D's, I can go to the key of D, move the G over as the 4 chord, and learn an A. Next time I can start in A. I already know D's, and all I need is an E chord or an E7 chord. What you learned earlier as well is that D minors can lead to A7s. So I could do a D minor and an A7. So that's a lot of fun too. Where you know them, you could play the minor chord with its 5 chord as well. So D minor with A's or A7s. We still don't know an E, but we could play A minors with D minors too. So practice them in all kinds of combinations. Work on your scale. Any melodies we've done, Mary Had a Little Lamb or Hot Cross Buns, continue to work on. Pretty soon I want to start reading notes as well. But ukulele players are usually chord players who want to sing rather than people who want to play melodies. I love melodies, so I always get back to that myself. We'll leave it at that for now. Have a good one, guys.